Hi, welcome. Hi, welcome to the Ellis Talker Show. I'm DV LeBron. Do you have construction needs? Maybe you got want to build a pergola. Maybe you need a roof done. Maybe whatever it is around your house. Check out K&H Construction out of Waxahachie. Chris Helms. It's a local company. Support your local small business and let them know DV LeBron sent you. Today, my very special guest is Mr. Mike Wilson. If you haven't noticed in Midlothian, there has been a craze about Thai food, and yeah, Blue Mint has been the one that they've been talking about. And Mr. Mike Wilson is the owner who started Blue Mint. He has one out in Mansfield and opened one up recently in Midlothian. So I wanted to have him on to kind of talk about his journey from, Puerto Rican cop to, to a restaurant guru. How are you doing, sir?
Very good. How about yourself, sir?
I'm good. I'm good, Mike. So, Mike, kind of give a brief bio on you and we'll kind of get into it.
Sure, DV. First, thank you for having me on your show. It's a great opportunity and a privilege to be here with you. Um, but yes, so my story goes back all the way down to the streets of Fort Lauderdale, Miami, when I was a kid. Single Puerto Rican mom trying to raise me, work three jobs. Used to throw me in the back of the car at 2 o'clock in the morning to deliver newspapers, and just so she can help get me out of poverty and change the trajectory of my life. Um, Typical 2.5 student down in Florida. And then after that, I went to University of Florida for a year. And then I enlisted in the Air Force in 1999. I was security forces. As you can see the flag behind me. I was military police for the Air Force. And immediately I knew that that was kind of the path I wanted to carry on my career. And as soon as I enlisted, I started working on my college degree and I became a commissioned officer in the Air Force, ending up retiring in 2019 as the commander of the Security Forces Squadron in Fort Worth and the Reserve Unit. While I was doing all of that, I was studying on my own to become an entrepreneur. I have some real estate investing, and I just always listen to opportunities that come my way. And one day, a friend of mine who was a civilian in the police department, she was a Thai female, and she's like, Mike, you're always buying all these businesses and real estate. Why don't you buy my family's Thai restaurant? And I had no Thai food experience. I've never had Thai food before, but I did work at Chili's for a long time as a manager, bartender, trainer. And I was like, this translates. Let me go ahead and see if I can do something with it. So in 2023, I bought Blue Mint Thai and Asian Cuisine in Mansfield.
Wow. That is a journey. Like, how do you go from, and by the way, thank you for your service, brother,
Thank you, sir.
as from one serviceman to another. Even though you were an officer, I won't hold that against you because you were prior enlisted.
I sure was.
I know that that's a journey, but that's a very proud journey. And you went on to be a cop because you were security forces in the military, but you go on to be a cop. I mean, was it that just that random an employee, like what was those first businesses you were just purchasing homes? I mean, getting into a restaurant is such a different field,
It sure is,
had to
DV.
be scary.
It sure is. Again, you and I have talked about this offline a little bit, but I'm a big believer in my faith, and I know that whatever decisions I make, I'm going to be taken care of. And if it doesn't work out, it's not supposed to work out. So, kind of the story between the Air Force and my policing is I left the Air Force. It's called a reduction in force. So, after 9/11, I got commissioned and they hired too many people in that period. So, after a few years, they said, we need more planes. You got to go, bud. So, of course, I was a commissioned officer. I thought I was going to be on the job market. Everyone's going to want me, and they didn't. So, I ended up becoming a Chili's manager. And literally, when I was in training, I was on a Friday night, and an Iraq War veteran came in with his family, and he told me that he's back in the states because one of his brethren got killed, and I bought his entire family's meal. And I told myself, I said, I have a bigger purpose than serving chicken crispers, so I had to go do something else. So I started applying for the police department, and Arlington Police Department is the one that I landed on because I did have a 4 year degree, and then I did 17 years in Arlington, both as a street cop on South Side. So most of my years I was patrolling the Parks Mall at Arlington, the Arlington Highlands, and South Side, and then I became a detective over that same area which is the biggest area calls for service in Arlington, which is the Parks Mall in the Arlington Highlands, and I did that for 7 years.
Before I move into the food journey, can you tell me that, because you had mentioned it, the role of faith in this whole endeavor?
I mean, that's a loaded question. I can talk to you for hours on this one, but because of my upbringing that I discussed, like, we were poor. We were eating ketchup sandwiches sometimes. And I've always been driven by wealth because I knew all my friends had pools and they went on long trips and they had nice cars and big houses. And I didn't. And I didn't understand how money worked. So I was always studying on that. And I ended up making some good moves, buying some houses, some rental properties, and that kind of thing. But what it comes down to is the once I started serving others first, that's when my entire world changed. And I've written, read several religious books and prayer, practice gratitude, that kind of stuff. And certain people came into my life that opened that faith door more and more and more to where I surrounded myself with faith driven people, and all the success that's been happening with the restaurants, the Texas Rangers, the real estate, everything has been once I started surrounding myself with more faith-driven people, and people that weren't driven by money or power or success. They were driven by serving others first and being a part of the community.
Put God first and he'll supply your needs. He'll give
That's
you
it.
everything he wants. Yep, right
Faith.
there. Faith. Yep. That's it. So going back to the food thing, she approaches you and she says, "Why don't you buy this Thai restaurant?" So you went in there, you tried the food and just made the jump?
So again, I've never had Thai food, so I wasn't a straightaway yes. So I said, let me go ahead and try this food, and I was blown away with how good it is. And I used to live in the neighborhood across the street from Blue Mint Thai in Mansfield, and they've been open for 14 years before I took over, without any marketing, without any advertising, through COVID, all through word of mouth. So once I had the food, I was like, wow, I need to tell the world about this Thai food, which is comes straight from Bangkok and Chiang Mai in Thailand. Three generations from grandmother to mother to daughters, and daughters are now, they're getting long in the tooth. So the newest generation of children didn't want anything to do with the restaurant, because they were forced to work in it when they were younger. They wanted to go do other things, and the family was getting in their retirement pre-retirement age, and it was a mutually beneficial situation where they kind of wanted to go back and forth from Thailand. I wanted to acquire businesses and serve the community more, and it just fell across my lap, and I said, let's go do it.
So, but there is one that's still with you, helping you in keeping perfection of the recipes. Can you talk
Oh,
about her?
absolutely. So ultimately there was several. When I talk about the youngest children, the one level above that, there's three sisters and a brother. All of them have had Thai restaurants. Two of them were in New Jersey, and my current general manager, her name is Randy. She came down from New Jersey to help her sister run the Mansfield location. So she was there probably 6 or 7 years before I took over, and obviously, part of the transition, I wanted to make sure that these recipes didn't change. And over a period of time, we just became best friends, even though, she's slightly older than me, but we became
Mhm.
best friends, and now we're doing this together. So she's an investor in all our locations, and she's like, Mike, I can't believe I can see my family's recipes and our sign at the Ranger Stadium on TV. People are talking about on the radio. So you're interviewing me right now, DV, because of the restaurant. So she loves to see the growth and success of her family's recipes for generations, because it helps them connect to their homeland and their parents and their grandparents.
Why is Blue Mint different? Like, what work did you put in on making sure that this food was as good and authentic as possible?
So I believe if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've won Best Asian Restaurant for Arlington, Grand Prairie, and Mansfield for roughly 10 out of the last 15 years and the last 3 consecutive years. And we believe we're going to win again. So I didn't touch the recipes. Strike that. I did add kid chicken nuggets to the menu because kids love chicken nuggets. But beyond that, I wasn't going to mess up the recipes. Where my brain comes in and my skill set is the marketing part. So immediately I started doing online ordering, online delivery through DoorDash and Uber Eats, ad pages, magazine articles, in-depth bios, that kind of thing. And on our first year in Mansfield, we increased sales $280,000. And
Wow.
and I was like, you know what, this works. And we started talking. You talk about going back to faith. I was kind of toward the end of my police career with Arlington, and I had the restaurant, and I wasn't planning on expanding because restaurant work is hard work. Running one is hard enough. Running two, three, or four, or 10 or 20 is way harder. And at 2 in the morning, God said, boom, I was up, popped up. He said, you're going to turn your restaurant into a quick service style restaurant similar to Chipotle or Cava for Mediterranean food. And you're going to bring this around the country. And ever since then, that's been my mission.
The Chipotle of Thai food. Th-
That's
I
correct.
that is an innovative concept. When you told me the first time, kind of blew my mind. That is a concept that you've instituted, and it's definitely most apparent in the way that you shaped the restaurant and did the restaurant in Midlothian. So you opened this Midlothian location. It's still in soft opening. Tell
Correct.
me about that. And were you able to mold your vision a little bit better with that restaurant?
So, absolutely. Um, and don't get me wrong, it's been a journey. And just like with any big undertaking, you're going to hit time issues, cost issues, failure throughout the path. So I was planning on opening last November, and I'm not going to get into how and why all this happened. Some of it was permitting, some of it's construction stuff. Um, but neither here nor there. I had the vision, and I collaborated with several local Ellis County, Waxahachie, Midlothian contractors and subcontractors and people that help support this. And I just said, here's what I'm looking for. And they were able to execute on that. And to the point where, we talked about community involvement. We have a 120 square foot long wall that has all these Thai icons with Midlothian Heritage High School, Midlothian High School, and the Texas Rangers logos all over. So um, I'm just, I feel very blessed that the people that I've surrounded myself with, again, are faith driven. They want to do business the right way. They care about their reputation, their character, and involvement in the community. And we are literally 1 week and 1 day away from our grand opening.
Wow. And yeah, you have had a opening, and it's good because you've been able to kind of, just perfect some things and fix. Those were soft openings do. And sometimes
Absolutely.
there's mistakes in soft openings. And, if somebody has an issue with that, do you ask them to address it so that they can make it better with you?
Of course. I mean, we're always looking for honest feedback because just like with McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, any big chain, the biggest thing is consistency. And as we are expanding and scaling our brand, we want to make sure the crazy drunken noodles taste like crazy drunken noodles every single time. And our drunken fried rice tastes like our drunken fried rice every single time. And if it's not right, then it's not the same thing. So if anybody goes, we understand that the concept's different than the Arlington location, I mean, than the Mansfield location. Mansfield's a full sit down. You have a waiter or waitress, and you go through the process. But this is more counter service. So you have a self serve kiosk. We bring it out to you in 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how busy we are. And the recipes are identical. And Randy comes from the Mansfield location to make sure the recipes are identical. So we are going through hiccups of training, staff that are mostly high school students that are graduating and they don't have any restaurant experience. So there's a little learning curve there, but we are serving our food in Midlothian in Globe Life Field for the Texas Rangers, and we know that once grand opening comes around and we work out the first kinks for the first few months, then it's going to be a staple in Midlothian.
You mentioned the Texas Rangers. So tell me how that came about.
Again,
Good,
thank the
good.
Lord for our conversations, but um, I have lots of stories that we'll share offline. But ultimately,
Hmm.
I hired uh, my director of business operations. Her name's Elisa Dodenhoff. And the first time we met, I was exiting. I was retiring from the Air Force from my unit, and she was just coming in. And she is, there's not many security forces females that have a doctorate degree that are writing a book on getting women into the executive levels of corporate business. And we just had that conversation just in passing. And over several years, we kept in touch. And then one day she had a bad day at work, and I was juggling too many balls with expanding and all these meetings. And she goes, Mike, you know, I have a business degree, don't you? And I said, I sure don't. She said, we should work
Mm-hmm.
together. And within that first week, she had some contacts in the Texas Rangers from her previous position and some friendships. And she goes, hey, Rangers, just making a phone call. We have this amazing Thai food restaurant. We'd love to partner with you in some way. And it just, our conversations, we fell in love with the first lunch we had. He took all of our leftovers home to his family. And then he told the Rangers, he's like, we got to get these guys in the stadium. So we were able to work out a deal to where we are the proud partner in the Asian restaurant of the Texas Rangers for the next 3 years.
Wow. How do you like? How did you build that one? Because I haven't had a chance to go to the stadium yet or watch a game this year.
So,
How did like? How is that? Is that kiosk? How did you? How do you do that one? That particular one.
so for the sake of not boring your audience, there's some nuances on business that we
Mm-hmm.
go through. So so essentially you have the Texas Rangers. They run the
Mm-hmm.
entire organization.
Mm-hmm.
They outsource all of their concessions to another company called Delaware North, and
Mm-hmm.
they are a national company. They're in casinos, they're in amusement parks, they're in airports, and they're in stadiums. So they know how to essentially do the leasing and paperwork and getting all of these big brands into the stadiums. So they basically said, you bring your team in, you train our executive chefs and our staff, and then you don't have to man the booth. You don't do anything. We just will sign a DNA that says we're not going to share your recipes with anybody, and they run it on their own. So we have our logo, our name. We say veteran owned, first responder owned, and we have a outfield sign near the first baseline, 160 square feet along the foul pole, and uh, they run it, and it's Delaware North, and
That
um,
is so cool.
they keep
That
our
is that.
recipes the same exact way. So we have the crazy drunken noodles there, and we also have our golden pouches, our crab rangoons at the stadium.
Wow. Wow. So I mean, all these blessings. There's no coincidences. I don't believe in that. Now that you know that you run into that the lady and all that's ever all that comes about that's just a blessing. What's next? Because I know you have more. There's more coming.
There's always more, and that's a blessing and a curse. Is that I have a problem with my brain that it won't shut off, so I'm constantly thinking about what's next, what other opportunities come across. So, like I mentioned, I do real estate investing, and I'm a partner in a 60 unit apartment complex in South Dakota. I have a condo hotel in Orlando, and I have earlier this year I had five houses in DFW, and I sold one recently, and now I have four. But my goal and my passion is to coach, teach, and mentor kids, first responders, military folks, blue collar workers. I wrote two books that are on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. One about it's called Blue Collar Wealth, and it's about teaching the basics of investing in the stock market, how dividends work, investing in real estate, some mindset, and then I followed that up with another book. There's a bad word in the title, so I won't mention it, but um, it's doing epic stuff, and it talks about mindset, goal accomplishment from somebody who shouldn't have this path based on my upbringing, but I'm just there to show you like anybody can do it if you have your faith, you're determined, you're disciplined, and you put in the work. And my goal is to go. I've already spoken at the Ellis County Unite on leadership and influence. I'm speaking at other conferences. I go to teach at Tarrant County College to teach financial education to the police academy over there. So my goal is to make enough money to where I don't have to work anymore, and I can just go do charitable work and teach people how I was able to do it and how they can do it as well.
And you have one that may be popping up in Arlington in preliminaries, right? It's something that
So no, it's a
maybe
done deal.
it's a done
We
deal.
already signed the lease. We are on Front Street, right across from Hurtado's Barbecue and Tipsy Oak and Cidercade, right in that deep entertainment district. So we have submitted our permitting, and we should start construction this month or next month. Obviously, we know sometimes city governments don't move the quickest, so we're gonna do what we can, but we expect to be open by the end of the year.
So Blue Mint in Arlington as well. So you're gonna have Blue Mint, Mansfield, Arlington, and Midlothian, and worldwide is what I'm expecting. And
So
Texas Rangers.
and Globe Life Field, and we are on the franchise market. So we're selling franchises at this time. We're still getting our systems in order, but we are the franchisor to sell franchises all over the country. And once we catch traction with all our new locations and the Texas Rangers partnership, we do believe that um, we'll do quite well. The franchising company who helped in selling Jimmy John's for 2.4 billion is the same company that I'm using, and they projected us to have 51 locations in 5 years, and that's before we got the Texas Rangers, international brand recognition. So I feel very blessed. I feel very tired, but I just love what I do. I love connection. I love putting people together, and I love supporting the community.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that I got to meet you, and of course the food is
Likewise,
fantastic.
thank you.
It was I enjoyed it very much, and I've been to Thailand twice, and well, no, actually I've been three times, but and eating the fried. My thing is the fried rice with everything in it. That has always been my dish, and that's what I ate when I was in Thailand all those times when I went. And I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the people, the culture, and definitely the food. So I really like the way that you guys make that fried rice.
Thank
It's
you,
very
DV.
very good.
I appreciate that.
So I'm grateful that you're in our town in Midlothian. It's a great town to start a business, and I'd like to give my guest the last word. So if people want to talk to you more about Blue Mint, or maybe hours or when is your grand opening, can you go ahead and just tell the people of Ellis County?
Absolutely. So we our grand opening. So we're open right now. We're open for business, and we are in our soft opening. So please come out, go online, order online. We deliver through third party, but our grand opening is May 15th. We are going to bring in the World Series trophy with our partnership with the Texas Rangers, and the six shooters were the cheerleaders for the Texas Rangers. They are coming in at we'll say 12 to 1:30 is kind of the time frame that we're allocated. So we're going to do free Rangers gear, free food for a year. We have Rangers tickets that are going to be raffled off. We have a bounce house for the kids. We're going to do free samples of food. I have another veteran of mine who's a police officer that just retired that owns Buttermilk Sky Pies. We're going to have a tent out there. I have another veteran who does woodworking crafts. So he's going to be selling flags, woodworking stuff, and that'll be part of the raffle as well. So we just want the Chamber of Commerce, Ellis County, first responders, all government workers, police officers, hospitals. We want everyone to know that we're here to help you fundraise, to be a part of the community, to sponsor, little league baseball, soccer. We are sponsors for Midlothian High School and Heritage High School. So we just want to cement ourselves, put our roots here because this has been my hometown for the last 12 years, and we're not going anywhere. And hopefully, people like our food, and we can add value in some way to you guys.
There's a Lieutenant Colonel Bolton who does the ROTC at Midlothian High School. That ROTC, he's done wonders with what they have. So they could probably use some love, definitely. I gotta plug them because they
Please do.
started off with nothing, and he's making that program. So
Sure. And I'd love to come out and talk to the kids about the experience, both as an enlisted person and basic training enlisted and basic training officer. DV. Those are two separate journeys, my friend.
they are.
And they just treat you different. But I'd love to talk to the kids about that and talk about things on the side that they can do to create a life of abundance for them and their family.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really do appreciate it. Can you stick around real quick?
Yep. And don't forget, I told you, you and I are gonna do business together too. So let's talk offline.
All right.